I think we are ready to go with round. Okay.
Yeah, one of our
So,
colleagues actually who's naming the decks was struggling to give Cris deck a proper name. So I think
mhm,
we sided with Loam something. But after watching this
yeah.
match, I can understand the struggle. I wonder
Yeah,
what Cris actually calls the deck.
well, we didn't see the Minscampu, which would have been the cool card to see. All right, so we're on a we're moving to round 5 now. I think we're gonna step away just are we I'm not sure if we're ready or not. Okay, all right, we are ready for round 5 to begin. Let's go. Bring it up. No break, no rest for the weary. Here we go. Ethan Cummins versus Barry Piotrowski. Elves? Okay. Elves versus Oops All Spells? Are you kidding me? That's the pairing?
This is what we're watching.
Wow.
Okay, well, it's gonna be interesting.
All
I guess
right.
the most interesting thing right now is so you wanna explain what Ouphe Spells does, like how it works?
Sure. Okay, so Oops All Spells is basically if you wanted to design a deck that could beat elves, this would be a good place to start in game 1. What we're looking at is there are 2 different creatures. Balustrade Spy is one of them. They both work the same way. They both cost 4 mana to activate. The other one is 3 mana on 1 to activate, whereas this one is just 4. You mill until you hit a land. Well, there's not going to be any lands, so the whole deck's going to go in the graveyard. And then from that point, you're like a combo dredge deck. Narcomobas come back into play, and you can sacrifice them. And there are a variety of win conditions that have been used over the years. However, Thought's Oracle simplified things dramatically
Yeah, yeah.
as far as that goes, making the kill go from a variety of 3-card packages.
Yeah,
Some like
Angel of Glory's Rise brings back all the humans, and then you had
sure that was
something, but
one.
yeah, we don't do
Yeah,
that anymore.
there
So
was okay, yeah,
Elves has 2 ways to fight this in the first game.
all
It's
right.
not uncommon to have like a one-off endurance in the main deck.
Mhm.
And that, of course, would completely steal the game because then Barry just decks out on the next turn or even dies to his own pact. And the other thing is, Barry doesn't have the turn 1 kill, and Elves gets to untap with an Elvish Reclaimer. And in the most common list we see these days, they would have Bojuka Bog in the sideboard. Of course,
Mhm.
Barry will probably know that. Uh, would probably still need to pull the trigger if he can, because there's a chance that Ethan would be playing the Elves deck that doesn't have Bojuka Bog. But yeah, we will see. Winning the dice roll, reasonably important for Ethan. There's like not really too many things going on. On the other hand, Ethan might not know what Barry's playing, but you know how these big tournaments work. Like the closer you get towards the end, you
Right.
might just know still.
So a question in the chat: how would endurance cause Barry to deck? Well, so there's only one copy of Dread Return in the deck. So even though obviously Barry's not going to deck immediately if endurance goes off because he's going to have plenty of cards to draw, his deck's going to be unable to win the game at that point.
But actually, I was somewhat wrong
Okay.
because the cards, of course, go back into the library. That's why I mentioned the pact that, like, if you had used like the
Mhm.
green pact,
Right.
you would do that.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
the idea is you would use the endurance in response to the
Mhm. All right.
let's
So
say
let's.
dread return. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So here we are in game. We have the archetypes backwards. There we go. And so Lotus Petal, uh, mana, and then so a change that's made it a little easier on these decks, Charbelcher or Oops All Spells in this case, is the split lands. So you can see the land in play. I have no idea what land is that. Deem's Awakening on the backside that's in
I
play
never
right
tried
there.
to actually learn the names. I know they're like basically
Yeah.
split lands. Yeah. There's
All right.
Wirewood, some Turntimber is the green one, something
Yeah.
Turntimber
Yeah.
Symbiosis or something.
So Agadeem's awake. All right. So let. Okay. So this was not a bunch of shuffling. The game actually ended right there, even though you might have missed it, as Barry did win the game by going off on turn 1. So let's go ahead and bring up the deck list here so we can more explain. I mean, so a lot of you will know what's going on here. This is like the graveyard version of Charbelcher. It's really all in. It's actually faster and less resilient than Charbelcher, if you can believe that. Well, maybe not less resilient, but certainly faster. As we see, we have packs to protect ourselves. We have Thoughtseize. We do have half a dozen or more spell lands. So they don't
Yeah.
count as lands in the deck, but they do tap for mana, and you can play them as lands if you want to. And the idea is to use Balustrade Spy or Undercity Informer, get one of them into play, you deck yourself. Narcomoebas come back into play. Sacrifice Narcomoebas. You can Cabal Therapy if you're worried about something, and then Dread Return Thoughtseize Oracle, and the game's over with, as we just saw.
Yeah, you can also Cabal Therapy yourself in case you have Dread Return
Yes.
or Thoughteize Oracle in hand. And if you if the worst case scenario happens, you need to Cabal Therapy your opponent, you need to Cabal Therapy yourself, and you had like a Narcomorba in hand. Then you still have Bridge from Below, which is still gonna give you enough creatures to eventually use the Dread Return. So this deck, it's very well constructed. And like you mentioned, right, in a way, it's like more resilient than Belcher because it has pacts. On the other hand, it's also less resilient because it uses the graveyard. So there's a trade-off.
Right.
And generally, most people agree that it comes out ahead of Belcher in that department. Sometimes, you see Belchers in the sideboard even. Like sometimes the deck is like, you know what, you bring in all this graveyard hate. I literally have straight up Belcher. I can make it work, and then I hit you in the face.
Yeah, I have actually seen that a number of times over the years. Okay, you can see the sideboard here. White Ley Lines, Force of Vigors, Xanthid Swarms. The White Ley Lines actually stop Endurance, so that might be actually what we see here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Elves deck.
Pretty
see
sure
what
it also
Ethan
stops
Cummins.
Chukabok. I need to look at. I'm pretty sure.
It probably
Yeah.
does.
Target player's graveyard.
I suppose we should note actually, Barry won first that game. He possibly has no idea what he's playing against. So he may actually not be able to sideboard correctly here.
I think I associate Ethan Cummins' name with Elves. I could be wrong, but when I read the name, I already thought like, oh yeah, this is Elves, and then it said it right after the name anyways. But yeah, what do we have? We have Endurances, we have Duraces, Thoughtseizes. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's not bad, especially the script spells.
Certainly enough to justify the ley line. Okay, chat is saying he actually saw Once Upon a Time, so that does give away something. Looking for Endurance there in game one. Barry's going to take a mulligan. That's something that will happen frequently.
Yeah, there's a couple of decks that use Once Upon a Time, but of course, Elf's the most likely one to use it, or to be it rather.
Right. Okay, so yeah, White Ley Line. I mean, go back several years, White Ley Line would have done meaningless against Elves. Now with Endurance, Thoughtseize, Duress. Okay, yeah, sign me up. Yeah, exactly. It stops
basically
everything.
shuts down almost all the interaction that we have over the graveyard, or like any kind of like thinking about it. Like White Lane is really good.
Yeah,
that card scares me. So let's see. Ethan, I guess, kept 7.
I think so.
What we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Sending one back and
6-card key for Barry. That's still enough to be scary. No ley line.
No ley line and turn 1 Reclaimer. That basically says, well, Barry, you have to do it now.
Yeah. I mean, Endurance still potentially has it covered for Ethan's side, but I don't imagine that Ethan could keep a 7-card hand that doesn't have any interaction here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's no way his combo. There's no Ethan winning this game is irrelevant. It's Ethan stopping Barry from winning. That is all that matters. Okay, there's Turntimber Symbiosis.
It's funny, right? Wizards could have printed those lands either way, like with either card on the front. And from what I understand, they printed it with the land on the. Actually, no. What's on the back? The land is on the back.
The land's on the back. Yeah.
So you can play a discard spell and make them discard it.
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay, yeah. You could have printed it the other way around. Then you couldn't have discarded lands, but then of course it wouldn't have worked for Ouphe spells.
Right. All right. So Cradle and another Reclaimer, and now Butugabog is searchable.
Yeah, and I guess for the rest of the game, at least for Barry's main phases, Ethan we're gonna keep that up and keep the Butugabog searchable. End of turn, we're probably gonna activate one of the Reclaimers to either get like a fetch land or whatever you need. Could also be a Dryad Arbor. What are we gonna do here? Oh, nice. That's Busichu. That's the new Busichu. And looks like Barry's not gonna have a base. Of course, Barry's not gonna have a base. that would be something. Oh, let me just get my basic swamp. Ooh. Sideboard tech.
Dawns. Yeah, that Busichu is definitely to a whiff there. So Barry with no resources in play.
Yeah, and at this point, I think Ethan can actually run out his entire hand, which contains a Allosaurus Shepherd, which will then allow him to basically win next turn, we're probably gonna we're gonna have enough mana to do basically anything we want.
All right, sending in there for 1, I believe, but
yeah, I think we're gonna go to a third game here. This is technically, like, from what we've seen from the sideboard from Barry, I think I didn't even see any bounce spells. Like, if you had a bounce spell, you could bounce like one of the Reclaimers and then second main phase or something, or even like first main phase, go for it. But yeah, we just have to end of turn discard. Oof.
Right,
by the way, that's while this game is probably going to end on this turn, that's something that people have gotten me when I was a beginner. People would be like, okay, discard when they have 8 cards, and I would be like, sure, discard. And then I want to activate something at the end of turn, and of course you can't, because they already moved to discard. Like, I think most people have fallen for that. I don't know if this was like a situation like that, because Ethan could have activated a Reclaimer end of turn. Of course, didn't really make a difference here. It just reminded me of that situation.
Yeah, that's funny. So addressing a couple of things from chat, talking about, what could happen here. So drawing Narcomorba for Barry, I mean, it's not great, but it doesn't really matter. There are 4 in the deck, and then you only need, because of the Bridge from Below and the Cabal Therapies, you don't need to have all of them to find. You really only need a couple. There was another question acknowledging still something about the Dread Return can Endurance, preserve and let you, win over again. You can't. The Dread Return will get exiled on casting. So Endurance shuffling everything back. The deck is still, Uzo Spells deck is still dead in that scenario.
Yeah, unless you have some kind of weird thing, like a second Dread Return or something.
Yeah, you have to have 2 Dread Returns. Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah, I sometimes see people play Memories Journey. I think chat has also mentioned it. I guess I've never really seen it work, even though I've seen it played against me plenty of times. But there must be something to it. I think you can, shuffle back whatever. Like, if they have a way to pinpoint target your, let's say, Oracle, then you can shuffle it back into your deck. But then you still don't have a Dread Return, right?
Right. Yeah.
Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from his or her graveyard into their library.
Yeah. Okay, someone's pointing out, you have to have a way to hardcast at that point. So that might work in something like Doomsday, where you actually have blue mana, but it's not likely to work here.
People do it in almost exclusively in Ouphe spells, but like you mentioned, right? You would need to be able to hardcast it.
I guess there is options to make blue mana with Lotus Petals being pointed out, so it is possible. Anyway, players are drawing up for game 3. We don't want to be late because we might miss the entire game.
Honestly, though, like, you could, I mean, that's pretty desperate, but you could also put back 2 Lotus Petals, right? That's
sure.
Because 2 Lotus Petals and the Oracle, because you put back 3 cards.
Yeah,
but then it's gonna be such a slow process to ever get there again. I know you wouldn't, like, it requires you to not have used any pacts. I mean, technically it works, and I guess for a one-off card that you put into the deck, I see the merit, at least. Maybe it's actually going to work here. I don't know.
And the idea of, like, well, it's going to take a long time. You have to take 3 turns. This is probably only going to work in cases where you're against a deck that mulled desperately far down for their graveyard heat anyway. So the opponent may not be doing much either in this scenario. Anyway, both players taking a mulligan here. Probably, if they're both on 7, 6, maybe even 5, that would favor Ouphe spells. I think anything beneath that, Elves, is massively ahead.
I think the lower you go, the more awkward it gets, because Ouphe spells can construct like 5-card hands that still do it. On the other hand, they're gonna have a really hard time ever recovering from anything that Ethan could throw at them.
But this is a spot where, when you take mulligans, the lands actually help a lot, because you can have some stability of mana.
I think there's like 2 Narcomorbas in hand. Oh no, I think the other one might be a Pact.
Okay, well, going to 5. Yeah, keeping a hand with Narcomorbas is no problem once you're on mulligan to 6 or 5 cards. You can just put them back. There's plenty of cards you can put back in this deck. You just need to have the right business found. Certainly, turn 1 kills are still viable on 5 cards.
Yeah, very much so, especially since we have the Land Mire right now. That's always like the hard game. The third game, like you often get to like basically just like win the second game with elves, but the third game is always going to be so hard because you really only have endurance to do it. And if they have the Pact of Negation, I mean, what are the odds that you have the second endurance? So I don't know. This hand doesn't look too great from Barry either. I once again see a bunch of like Narcomorbas. Like two of them are probably going to go back. And
So
then,
what do we need here? Land, Ritual, Lotus Petal, Combo Killer, and a Pact. That's 5 cards. So this could be this could still be a turn 1 kill with protection, which there's almost no chance anything can beat. However, that's asking a lot since that's a perfect hand at this point.
Yeah. This is like, if this is straight up the nuts, is this like Ritual, I would guess? There's another Dark Ritual. Yeah, if this is the nuts, then Ethan really needs 2
Oh my gosh.
endurances, but I don't think that's happening, right? Yeah, this might just like be, yeah, okay. Ethan's just like gesturing, okay, let me see, maybe I can find the endurance. And looks like we did, but I think, didn't you mention that Barry has a pact?
One of the hands did. That might have been the 6-card hand. I'm not sure.
The 6-card hand had a pact. I'm not sure if the 5-card hand has a pact. And there it is!
Does! Wow! Holy goodness. Okay, so Barry Piotrowski, 5-0 with Ouphe all spells. My goodness.
This is how you play Magic.
5-card hand. Land, double ritual, win condition, protection spell.
Yeah.
Elves, take a hike.
And even I've seen found the endurance.
My
Loving
goodness. All right, so we're gonna go ahead because that didn't take overly long. I believe we're gonna go in live to the backup match. We don't need to replace this game.
Okay, so we played 3 games of Magic in this round, but now we're gonna get back to the backup feature match, which apparently is still stuck in the Stone Age. Game 1 is still underway.
No, okay, they're.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood our producer. So apparently we're doing a time shifted match. I thought they were still like stuck in game 1.
Yeah. All right. So we're jumping into your, and this is game. I'm sorry. What game are we watching here? Okay, this is game 1. All right. So we got the pip out of there. All right. So this is. Okay, we'll take a breath and recover ourselves here. We're seeing Connor Mullaly and Chris Smith playing. This is round 5. Simic combo. Let's just take a peek and see what that might be. It's. Whoa.
What do you see?
I see Thought Lash.
Oh god. Oh, so the thing here says Simic combo, yeah.
All right, so let's pop Thought
it's the Chase Wheel of Mystery combo deck, right?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, there it is. Chase Wheel of Mystery. Okay.
Yeah. So this is another deck that wins by more or less decking itself, although in very different fashion than what we just saw with Ouphe all spells, even though the win condition is actually the same. Here's one of the options: Thought Lash, cumulative upkeep, exile top card of your deck, and then exile top of your deck to prevent damage. So you can do that as much as you want. So if you get this in play, you can just immediately exile your whole deck. Why would you want to do that? So you can play Thoughtseize Oracle and win the game. We need this card to take off. Honestly,
the card has tried to take off for almost a decade. People play it every once in a while, but
I speculated on 3 cards in my life. 2 of them hit, and Thought Lash did not. So
how many of those are you still sitting on?
Oh, I only bought like 8. I don't know. It was forever ago. No,
100.
It was cheap. It was a very minor thing. It was just like, I think this is cool. I'm going to get a couple sets. I don't know how much they were. I think they were basically free at that point. They're probably still basically free now. But we'll see. I mean, my track record is pretty good. The Gemstone Cavern thing worked out very well.
Oh, it did? Okay. So part of the challenge here is for Connor to actually identify what's going on. Because for quite a while, this might look like some kind of, 3-color band control deck. Like you see Ice Fang Codals, you see Brainstorms, Ponders, Uro probably at some points. But then we're eventually going to try to resolve Paradigm Shift to basically switch our library into our graveyard. And then win with Thoughtseize Oracle or something. Like I've only played against this a couple of times in Magic Online, and it didn't really come together when people did it. So I'm naturally inclined to believe that Izzet Derva has like quite a leg up in the matchup, but we shall see. Is there Cavern of Souls in the deck? No, but there's 3 Shelldog. Oh god, this is there's 3 copies of Shelldog Isle as well. Oh dude, I'm loving this. Also, if you ever get a Thoughtlash down, I guess we can stay alive for quite a while, right?
Oh yeah, Thoughtlash can save you forever. Days. Yeah, this deck is definitely, I mean, can defend itself. Like you're saying, there's a couple defensive cards. There's Veil of Summers. I'm surprised there isn't a Cavern of Souls, honestly.
You know what I like? I like the Muddle Mixture. It's been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah, Transmute card. Let's pop that up. There might be people that don't even know what this card is. Yeah, Muddle the Mixture is 2 mana, I believe, counter an instant or sorcery or transmute. So you can tutor for any 2-drop in your deck. There you go.
It basically finds you both parts of the combo. It finds you the Paradigm Shift, or it finds you the Thoughteize Oracle. And then I guess, like, if you really want to do it, you could also have something in the sideboard. Okay, yeah, but most of the time it's just gonna find the combo pieces.
Yeah, or you could just randomly counter like Expressive Iteration. You're fine.
Perfect.
All right, Pyroblast on Quaddle.
You know what? It's actually beautiful because once you have the entire combo assembled, then it's a way to protect it.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate card. Oh man, we should rebuild this deck with 4 copies of Muddle Mixture.
All right, but I'm putting a copy of Cavern of Souls in. I don't care what you say.
I'm down.
Okay. All right, so starting to actually pay attention to what's going on here. We had a Quaddle Pyroblast, so we have a Ponder here. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying about Connor potentially not actually knowing what he's playing against here. As why would you ever assume that this is what you're facing?
Yeah, right. So Connor might actually be like, you know, I'm gonna play it somewhat slow, and then I'm gonna like kill you with like a Murktide, which honestly might still just work out that way.
It could, but certainly there are surprises waiting in Christmas deck. I mean, Connor's gonna tap out for a threat with a Force of Will, and then get Veil of Summer and be like, what is happening? But
yeah, I think the longer the game goes, the more Uro becomes a problem, because Uro is just like something that I can't really handle very well, unless, of course, once again, we keep going back to dragons. You make like 1 or 2 big giant dragons to just fly over it.
Okay.
Well, there's also like Malevolent Hermit, which is an all-star, not actually an all-star in Doomsday, but we see it quite regularly played there. That's another way to protect the combo. So I don't know if that's going to come up at some point. But right now, just like Connor is doing the Delver thing, right? It's going to like, okay, I'm going to sit back. I'm just going to get like 2-for-1s, 2-for-1s, 2-for-1s. Wasteland doesn't really do anything here. But now this better be a creature, because the beatdown's got to start somewhere. Okay, this is just an island. Interesting. Huh. You know, I wonder if we're getting the island because it could be a case of maybe the opponent is on some kind of like back to basics tech. I don't want to play right into that.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's a reasonable thing to fear when you don't know what you're facing. I mean, also we're speculating this. Connor could know what he's playing. These players, have been out in the field for a few rounds now, may have been sitting somewhat near each other, may know each other, may have observed. So no reason to necessarily say with certainty that Connor doesn't know that Chris Smith is playing Thoughtlash combo, but he may know, he may not know.
I just wonder, like, at which point things are just gonna go down. Like, does Cris just like sit back and eventually just do a paradigm shift into Thoughteize Oracle? Because that could be like tricky, and you don't really need to do that, especially like when your Dava opponent is not presenting any kind of threat. You can literally just sit back and play. I can't even call it the control game because there's not really ways to interact with anything. Connor really does, but just like make your land drops and eventually find Uro because you've got some kind of inevitability. Okay, now the cat is kind of out of the bag.
Shelldog Isle is like somewhat of a giveaway here, and Connor's like, hey, what is that exactly? All right, yeah, it is Shelldog Isle. So that's if there's you look at 5, Hideaway 1. You look at 4, Hideaway 1. And then with 20 cards are left in the deck, in any deck, you can cast it.
Did you know that they actually downgraded the power of Shelldog Isle recently?
How did that happen?
I think they errated Hideaway, that put the cards on the bottom in a random order. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Yeah. I think I read that.
Hmm.
Which, in this deck could actually make a difference.
Sure. Okay. Lotus Petal cashed in here to cast Endurance, which gets forced.
Okay, force on this, force on that. The thing for Connor really is like we need a creature. We have it now. I would guess it's gonna be a 3/3. Yeah, now especially now that we got the artifact. But it's still a long way to go. And it doesn't look like we got too many cards in hand now. Oh, okay, never mind. We have 4, we're going up to 5.
Yeah, still a good amount. Oh, this might be revealing also.
Yeah. Chat is asking once again, what is the combo in the Simic combo deck? So it all comes down to resolving Thassa's Oracle in the end, and winning that way. And then we got multiple ways to get there. The most common way is Paradigm Shift, which basically exchanges your graveyard and your library. You can also use Thought Lash, which is an enchantment that buys you a lot of time and like can basically mill you at will. Those are the ways that we're gonna do it. You can also have a setup where you have the Oracle hidden under a Sheldog Isle. So anytime you cast Paradigm Shift, you can just get satisfy the condition of Sheldog Isle to cast something from underneath it. And while doing all of that, you run your cantrips. You have your good green blue stuff of Icefang, Codals, and Uro. So every once in a while you might just like steal a game with Uro, which especially in this matchup could happen. Oh, never mind. While I was gone, there's a big dragon.
No, there is. There's a lot of pressure on the board. Connor has come to party with looks like
Yeah, that's the shift.
11 damage in the air. And there is the shift.
I think it shuffles, right? Remove all cards from your library. Okay, shuffle your graveyard into your library, yeah. Yeah, so all those cards go into exile. And then your graveyard becomes. So you would still need a way to, work your way through everything that becomes your library now, because I think right now we are not quite there to cast Oracle and win the game. I mean, I wonder. I would guess this means that we have Oracle in hand because the Sheldog Isle was wastelanded, right? At least I don't see it anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. The land was wastelanded, so the deck does not contain a Thassa's Oracle. You're right. So that has to be in hand.
Oh God, that's way too many cards that are still in our library.
Yeah.
It's like 10 cards or something, or even if it's just 8, it's like we're not getting there in time.
Well,
we desperately need, let's say, Icefang Codal.
we need something, but we do have. Oh, we're not dead this turn.
Okay, opponent's counting the number of those oracles, so there's like 2. Then probably 1 in exile, the boss underneath the Sheldog Isle. Yeah, 3.
Boy.
So there's probably 1 in hand.
These combos that don't just win instantaneously. I mean, Ouphe All Spells is just like, what are you messing around with this stuff for? But we'll see.
But this way you get to have the beauty of like endurance and Uro.
Well, and you get to like play lanes in your deck. There are advantages to doing things this way.
I was told having lands is pretty good.
I mean,
okay, now we put Parablast back on top. Yeah, this is, apart from that, we probably won't be able to get through our library quick enough. This is really one of those games otherwise where Cavern of Souls would shine. I wonder if did we increase the size of Murktide Regent? Because it looks like we used Mystic Sanctuary, right?
We did.
Which
You're right.
grows.
Yeah, you are correct. But that is a missable trigger. So here's an attack for, I think, 11. So that Murktide will have to be dealt with, or Chris Smith's going to have to get through half a dozen or so cards this turn. Yeah. This is a slow way to do it.
It's kind of hard because we also know about the Pyroblast in hand, right? That was put back on the deck and then probably drawn with Expressive Iteration. So even if we find our Icefang Codal, it's not going to be good enough unless we have like a Force plus Pitch, which I think is not like technically the entirety of the deck is known. The cards in hand, of course, are unknown. Okay, but I guess you could also work that out if you looked at the exile.
I believe chat is correct. Mystic Sanctuary was the land played for the turn. Flooded Strand should not be on the board right now. The player did
Yeah.
miss the trigger, and you're allowed to miss trigger, but you are not allowed to play 2 lands in the turn. So if we can quickly radio over to the well, that's right, time shifted match. We're not going to be able to fix anything about that. I get caught by that every single time, so no fixing that. So we can wait to find out and see if it
No,
matters or not. But likely, Connor's looking pretty solid this game. I don't know what Chris Smith's going to be able to muster here to stay alive.
no, you've just been caught. Like back home, you have a time machine and you actually do the kind of stuff, but you can't admit to it in public. You're like, oh, we can't go back in time. I forgot.
All right, Connor picks up game 1 here against Chris Smith's Simic combo deck, which, I mean, showed off some of its tools, but really didn't threaten all that much. I don't know. This probably isn't a great matchup for the Simic combo deck. I mean, sure, you have some defensive cards like you're saying Uro, there's Ice Quaddle, but there's a lot of
And
anti-red
quite a lot
cards.
of
And
help in the sideboard though.
yeah, okay.
So yeah, we got Carpet of Flowers, we got Fluster Storms, we got Runner Foul. I
I like
guess
Craterhoof.
we also bring in like Blue Elemental Blast. If we want to be a Veil of Summer, we can take out a lot of stuff that we want. Whoa.
What okay,
Where
so what
where
sorry,
did the
I mean,
Maddening Hex come from?
is this live
Oh,
coverage
from the
now?
other side. Okay, okay.
Okay, so we've jumped into live coverage now. That's what happened. All right, so we watched the game 1 replay and then caught up to where the players were actually at. So if
Okay.
you were as
Yeah.
confused as Julian and I were, that should straighten out what actually is going on here.
And this is Maddening Hex that we talked about, right? The one
Yeah.
card that's not on Magic Online right now, which is probably makes the biggest difference between paper and Magic Online. So what this card does, it's a curse. So Cris is cursed, and every time Cris casts a non-creature spell now, he rolls a d6, a 6-sided die. And then whatever you roll, that's the kind of damage that Maddening Hex deals to you. So on average, it deals like how much? Like 3.5.
Mhm.
And that's just gonna kill you. Like, there's really not all that many spells that you will cast before the game basically ends for you, unless you get like super lucky, or like if you're super unlucky, it ends even quicker. And that's just like such a great tool for all these Izzet Delver decks, for anything that's like, you know, mirror, mid-range, or even like some kind of like storm combo deck. Like this is such a catch-all for stuff. I've even seen it played in main decks. And yeah, Cris has to work this out. There's a counterbalance going on as well. That's another thing that these decks do.
Yeah,
Like,
what? Yeah, that this is bizarre. I mean,
yeah,
Thoughtless can protect us from Maddening Hex. We could be fine there. Okay, iteration gets revealed, so this Ponder is going to resolve, but no 2-drops for the turn.
yeah.
And
The
like,
counterbalance is like you see them like 2 copies in the sideboard usually, mostly for the mirror, I want to say. But of course, like in these weirder matches, you can also bring them in, especially if you probably like don't want your bolts or something. I don't know. Or maybe you do want your bolts because there's Malevolent Hermit, which is annoying. Ugh. This is. I feel this
yeah,
is EDH Sunday today,
I know this
what
is
we're commentating.
this is weird, wild stuff here. And there are 2 fetch lands on the board, so Connor can change the card of his top randomly if he feels the need. He does want to draw the iteration though. Fires it off immediately.
Yeah, that's always a great thing to have.
And yeah, so the only creature on the board belongs to Chris Smith right now, attacking for 1. But that Maddening Hex is probably going to beat that in a race.
Well, if he ever casts spells again, yeah. But now
Oh,
we got
well,
that big dude.
yep, that big dude. Can't get through the little dude on the other side of the board right now, but still a pretty intimidating presence.
I never thought I would ever see something like that in Legacy, like counterbalance and a big dragon right next to it. I guess the other thing, the Brazen Borrower looks to be on an adventure. So
Yeah.
if we ever have mana, we can just like flash that in as well and go on the beatdown. Basically, that's probably how it's going to work out, right? We're going to get the Brazen Borrower and send that in, and eventually the Ice Hodl might need to block.
What is happening? So this Murktide's on the stack. I didn't see what Chris Smith responded with, but then Connor has fetched twice. Or maybe he's fetching twice before playing the Murktide. Maybe that's what's happening. The Murktide's just not been played yet. It's just
could be it, yeah.
It's in the iteration zone. Yeah, that's what's going on. Okay.
So, did you catch what Cris has in hand? I'm trying to see.
It's a lot of cards, but no, I haven't identified them yet. And it's the second Murktide. So that's why the first one didn't exile instant sorceries, but the second one does, growing both of them up. So there's a pair of 8/8s. Oh man, that's a way to get around the Ice Fang Koalas, just to have 2 dragons.
I guess something cool, like a pretty cool interaction is if you ever get to resolve your Veil of Summer through Counterbalance, that stops Counterbalance for the turn, right?
Yeah.
As you control can't be countered this turn. Yeah. But of course, usually the hardest mana cost to sneak through a Counterbalance.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understand, like the top should be random right now.
Yes.
So there's a decent chance that Cris could just get there. You could also, why not try it?
Yeah,
like your combo is all 2 mana, right?
He does have the Paradigm Shift, and if he has an Oracle, I guess even if the Veil of Summer gets countered, that would mean that the counterbalance
exactly.
is not lined up with the rest of the deck.
That's what I meant, right? If there's like one top, you go through the rest. Of course, you want to make sure that you don't die to your own to the opponent's Maddening Hex. Oh, there comes the die roll. Like on 15, we take 2.
All right, take 2. Get rid of a Murktide.
Reveal.
Maybe.
I can't see it. Oh, it's Dragon Rage Channeler. Okay.
1.
The problem though is, do we have enough devotion to blue to like even combo off this turn? Assuming we have all the cards that we need, because I think we might not have enough devotion to blue unless we like endurance ourselves or something. There's like weird combinations, and Maddening Hex also plays into it. Granted, we even had those cards in the first place. I'm curious. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, Cris, entertain me.
I mean, this is okay. Here's a hideaway land that gets. Yeah, I don't know. This is bizarre. So 2 hideaway lands in play now. So I guess depending on what's under there, Paradigm Shift.
I think there's another Run Afoul under the second hideaway land. I'm pretty sure I saw a Run Afoul go under. I think it was Run Afoul.
Okay, well, so we don't know what's under the first one though, and even the Run Afoul would be. Yeah, I guess that's still not going to get through the counterbalance.
Yeah,
But depending on
what need to cast it like on the opponent's like next draw step or something.
Yeah, but Chris Smith doesn't have to kill the Murktides as long as he actually just wins the game, which is possible, maybe.
Yeah, but there's only so many spells you can still play. Like, never forget about the Maddening Hex. Like, technically, the Maddening Hex could knock you out in 2 spells, like in 1 out of 36 games.
All right, here is the Paradigm Shift.
Here comes the Maddening Hex. The power of Maddening Hex is not to be underestimated. That card is so good. Watch him roll a 1 now.
4, okay. Well, that's a significant number, because now 1 Murktide getting through is lethal, and there's a counter on the Paradigm Shift.
Like, you could cast Veil of Summer here, but I think we know there's a 1 on top, right?
We do, yeah. 1 mana spell is not going to work here.
I think we still do, apparently.
Yeah, okay. Veil, Maddening Hex, so we'll get another shot from that in, and then bang,
that's
5.
Ooh.
And then countered anyway.
Now we literally can only resolve 2 more spells in the entire game, no matter what we do.
All right. Well,
okay, worth the shot. So he went for the Veil. Was like, oh, maybe he forgets the counterbalance trigger. Like, I can respect that.
Yeah, no, that's possible. It's like the chalice check thing. Yeah, it's fine. They're maybe not paying. People slip up. They get more interested in Maddening Hex and what else is going on. But yeah, that Hex did a lot of damage there. Those Murktides were going to do damage, and well, this Simic combo deck, they might have legs, but given the choice of the 2, Ouphe All Spells performed better this round.